I'm not ashamed to own my Lord, nor to defend his cause. Maintain the honors of his word, the glory of his cross.
Hello, I'm James Brown, and on behalf of the Eastern Church of Christ located in Toronto, Canada, I'd like to welcome you to today's edition of Walking Through the Bible, a podcast where we seek to study the Bible and the Bible alone. Please stick around afterwards for information on how you can contact us. But for now, please go to the book of Matthew, and we'll turn you over to Jeremy Dieselkamp for our study of the day.
Thank you, James, and welcome to all of our viewers. This is the 7th lesson in our study of Matthew. On Saturday, we studied Matthew chapter 2, verses 7 to 12, discussing the wise men visiting Jesus. If you missed that episode, you can find it and all of our other podcasts on multiple platforms by going to one of the different sites listed on the bottom of the screen. Today we're going to begin with Matthew chapter 2:13 and read through verse 18. The text that you'll see on the screen is from the New King James Version, but you're welcome to follow along with any version that you have. So let's now read Matthew 2, beginning at verse 13. Now when they had departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, take the young child and his mother, flee to Egypt, and stay there until I bring you word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed for Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the Lord through the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt I called my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he was deceived by the wise men, was exceedingly angry, and he sent forth and put to death all the male children who were in Bethlehem and in all its districts, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had determined from the wise men. Then was fulfilled what was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, A voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation, weeping, and great mourning. Rachel, weeping for her children, refused to be comforted, because they are no more. So far in this chapter, we've been talking about the wise men coming to visit Jesus. On Friday, we discussed their visit to Herod to find out where Jesus had been born. And then on Saturday, we discussed their visit to Bethlehem and their worship of Jesus. At the end of Saturday's episode, we had the wise men being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, and so they returned home a different way. All this brings us down to today's episode. In chapter 1, we had an angel appearing to Joseph in a dream in order to tell him to take Mary as his wife, despite the fact that she was pregnant. This dream is probably 9 months to a year later, and again we have an angel appearing to Joseph. This time the angel tells Joseph to take Mary and Jesus and flee into Egypt until word comes that it is safe to return, for Herod seeks to kill the child. God sent Jesus into this world at just the right time, when just the right circumstances existed that his purpose would be accomplished. Of course, we know that it was God who saw to it that these circumstances were brought about, but James 1 tells us that he doesn't tempt us to sin. Herod was not tempted by God to attempt to kill Jesus. Herod's jealousy of anyone who would claim the title King of the Jews caused him to do this. It wasn't God who caused Herod to sin. However, God knew what he would do given that situation. Joseph obeyed the angel of the Lord and fled immediately into Egypt. Matthew then tells us that this was done in order to fulfill another prophecy, that being that God's son would be called out of Egypt. The prophecy itself is found in Hosea 11, verse 1. Hosea 11:1 reads, When Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son. From the context of Hosea, the prophet is referring to Israel, who was let out of Egypt in the days of Moses. On its face, this passage does not appear to be messianic in nature. However, Matthew makes the connection, a connection that could only be revealed to him by the Holy Spirit. So how is this prophecy related to Jesus? Well, the first time Israel came out of Egypt, they were considered God's child, a son, and just like it was said in Hebrews 7, 9, and 10, that the Levites paid tithes through Abraham to Melchizedek, despite not being born yet, it could be said that God figuratively called his son Jesus out of Egypt when the children of Israel left Egypt. We would thus call Israel here a type of Christ. The antitype in the New Testament would be that Jesus, God's son, was literally called out of Egypt, having had to flee there to escape death, much like Israel did in the days of Jacob and Joseph. So without Matthew mentioning Hosea here, we might have easily missed this connection, a connection God wanted us to understand. When the wise men having not returned, Herod knows he had been deceived, though we know not intentionally, and thus orders the killing of all the male children 2 years of age and under in Bethlehem and its surrounding districts. This tells us that some time has passed between the birth of Jesus and this order. Otherwise, Herod would have simply said to kill all the newborns. This too was done to fulfill prophecy, this one found in Jeremiah 31:15. Now the prophecy of Jeremiah was literally fulfilled by Nebuzaradan in Jeremiah 40 verse 1. However, like many prophecies in the Old Testament, this one had a double meaning, and Matthew, under the direction of the Holy Spirit, applied it to even the slaughtering of these children. If you recall from Genesis 35:16-19, Rachel was buried on the way to Bethlehem, so that this prophecy also referred to the slaughter of these innocent children should not surprise us. With that, our time is up for today. Please join us, the Lord willing, tomorrow when we will continue our study of Matthew, beginning at Matthew 2:19.
Thank you, Jeremy. And to our viewers, we also thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. Should you have a question or comment, please leave it below or email it to answerintheword@gmail.com. We'll try to respond to you as quickly as we can. We hope you'll join us, Lord's willing, tomorrow when we will be continuing on our study in the book of Matthew. Goodbye for now and have a great day.
I'm not ashamed to